yeah. Oh, right. Sorry, guys. Sorry. She was being a coward about the Democratic Party, actually, guys. Like, what delusional, remedial world does she live in? Seriously, how many times has this happened? How many, has this ever happened, even once?
Yeah,
Do they let their hair out? Erudite, I hope your super short stream is good. I need to leave now. Be safe, girly pop. What, poo-poo pee-pee? She's so based. Whoa, wow. Wow, poo-poo pee-pee jokes? Wow. That's how you win over young men. That's how the Dems are winning back young men. Poo-poo pee-pee jokes. Wow. Okay.
I just got home from...
It's a 50-minute video, guys. It's a 50-minute video. It's going to be tough, man. This is going to be rough. So Erudite has just gone to see some, like, establishment politics people, I guess. She's gone to see some Democrats somewhere. And she's come back to talk about her thoughts, her findings. Erudite has made this video titled, "We Need More Swearing in Politics." And it's an incredibly remedial way to look at things. I hope her thought process has a bit more to it than this. Because just saying we need more swearing in politics is such a, you know, like I say, very remedial, elementary way of looking at things. Where basically, I think I see what she's getting at fundamentally. From her perspective, it's basically politics should be more like Destiny. We need more Destiny. Where she's saying, like, there needs to be more people who say really rude things and are really mean and abrasive to everyone. It's kind of already how it is. Kind of already past that point. That's just what social media has done to politics. She just thinks it's extra special because she thinks Destiny is this unique, special snowflake that, you know, is totally above everyone else because that's just how she sees the world. But that's kind of how everything already is. You know, social media has completely dragged down political discourse, and there's just, you know, some people kind of try and hold the line on not being totally brain broken and on the MAGA frame of analysis, frame of engagement. Try to still argue with, like, you know, some kind of fact basis. Don't just lie, smear, and defame their enemies. Try to maintain some kind of, you know, shared reality. But ultimately, the whole thing has just been degraded by the introduction of social media, TikTok, how quick the news cycle is now, foreign governments funding huge propaganda operations that we do nothing to counter. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it, into dragging down the quality of political discussion into the gutter and basically just being a reality TV show. However, Erudite, obviously, like I say, can only frame it around one thing, which is the Destiny community. And so that's what this whole thing is going to ooze with, I can tell already. So let's have a look.
Traveling, and because I'm so dedicated to proving to all of you that I'm going to take streaming seriously once again, I am back. What do you think about the right going at each other about Andrew Tate? Honestly, anyone who's conservative, who's being like, maybe we don't love people who are actively under investigation for sex trafficking. And self-admittedly was pimping out women for sex work. I think we celebrate that. I don't know. Okie dokie. So
Erudite thinks you should celebrate right-wingers who disavow one of their own who's doing sex crimes. She thinks it's a good thing to cut out people on your own side who are doing sex crimes. It's just an interesting position to take. That's just interesting to me.
I was reached out to not even that long ago, like 3 weeks ago, and asked if I would be willing to come as a creator specifically to talk to, hey BB, blast me. I was asked to basically come to DC and talk to political staffers.
Well, I just feel like Andrew Tate's kind of being cancelled, isn't it? I thought Erudite didn't believe in cancel culture. I thought Erudite said that, you know, people make mistakes and she doesn't believe in cancel culture. Everyone can be redeemed. So you should keep doing appearances and content with bad people because you don't believe in cancel culture. Even if someone grossly violates your stated bounds of behavior, you should keep doing content with them because otherwise that's cancel culture. But now she thinks it's a good thing to do cancel culture on Andrew Tate, I guess. I'm a little bit confused. I'm just a little bit confused.
Political funders and people who kind of operate more behind the scene in the political space. So there was no congressmen, no congresswomen, no senators, nothing like that. It was going to be more the staff around them, advocacy groups that interact with them, law firms that often represent them or work with advocacy groups and whatnot on different like proceedings. And so like the recent crazy that I was reading.
Guys, I've got to be real. It's going to be real fucking annoying. I understand this is a mentally inept 30-something-year-old woman who desperately begs everyone not to sexualize her in degrading ways while doing everything possible to bait sexualization in degrading ways to the extent of getting surgeries and wearing no bra. But I don't want it in my chat the whole fucking time. I'm sick of it. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to hear about this bitch's nasty fucking feet. I don't want you pointed out this bitch's fucking tits on screen constantly. I don't want to fucking hear it. Okay, I find her fucking annoying. I know there's a part of her head that gets scratched, a neuron that gets fired in some kind of positive way when there are men identifying her as a sexual object because she is absolutely desperate for that kind of validation. So please don't do that in my chat. Leave me out of it. I don't want to be party to this.
Executive order against the law firm that my tired brain can't remember the name of, even though I literally read it like 2 hours ago. Anyways, I met with all these people to tell them basically why they're dumb and wrong. I was invited by
I'm drooling right there. Wow, easy.
Of Progressive
See you tomorrow then.
Work with Progressive
no problem
anymore, but he felt that I had something to say, and I told him I'm willing to come, but I'm not willing to like treat people with gloves kids.
She got surgery. Yes, very obviously so. Yes.
Really upset with the Democratic Party. For those of you who are aware, maybe not awares, I worked not.
Oh yeah, she said gloves kids.
The CEO of Progressive Victory. I don't work for Progressive Victory anymore, but he felt that I had something to say, and I told him I'm willing to come, but I'm not willing to like treat people with gloves kids. I'm really upset.
No, don't want to treat people with gloves kids. With gloves kids.
With the Democratic Party. For those of you who are aware, maybe not awares, I worked not directly under the Democratic Party, but with kind of like Progressive Victory that had it was a PAC that was basically working towards like Democratic goals and working with Democratic like strategies and stuff like that to get Kamala Harris elected, right? That was like my job. My job was mostly just like coordinating media side. So my job was like technically a fully bipartisan job, which was awesome. My job was literally to just like connect one person's interest to another person's interest, like back and forth.
Wow, guys, you're totally not all getting timed out for continuing discussions that I'm like telling you don't have in my chat because I don't give a fuck. And you're fucking annoying. Wow, you're totally not all gonna get timed out.
And event coordinate. Canvassing events, but specifically coordinate media emerging and performing at canvassing events. Okay, so I got invited out and I was told that I was allowed to be gloves off. My experience for the last year of working kind of downstream from Democratic strategy is that they are not good to work with. Don't like it. Very stuck in their ways. Very, very much what everyone oftentimes accuses Democrats of being, right? That they are elitist. They think that they're right and everyone's wrong. They would come to streamers for advice about how to connect with streaming audiences, and I would tell them, and then they would be like, yeah, but we actually don't want to do that.
Dude, the editor is literally an op. The editor is like fucking with these people.
They would come to streamers for advice about how to connect with streaming audiences, and I would tell them, and then they would be like, yeah, but we actually don't want to do that. And I'm like, great, then don't connect with streaming audiences. Alt media in general in the Kamala Harris race only received, I think, like 10% of the budget. Like,
I'm sorry, but streaming audiences suck. Streaming audiences are not that good for fucking politics. You don't really care. No one gives a fuck about streaming audiences. TikTok audiences, Instagram audiences, Facebook audiences, Twitter audiences, yeah. Shit where you know, the normie stuff. Stuff that takes 5 seconds that they scroll through on their phone while they're on break at work or while they're at the train station. Or while they're, you know, doom scroll on their phone in a social situation they don't want to be in, or while they're laying in bed flicking through stuff before they fall asleep. Yeah, those places, those audiences, people want to connect to. Loser fucking nerds who sit there watching streams for 8 hours a night about just like fucking politics and shit. No, that's not a very valuable audience to connect with, to be honest. You can get, they're quite a committed audience. Like, you know, Destiny's had good success getting them like activated to go and do something. But in terms of like voting, in terms of mass scale, trying to, you know, get stuff in front of people's faces, generally, they're pretty worthless.
It was completely neglected. They focused a lot on traditional media because the person at the helm of a lot of the Democratic strategy was Anita Dunn, who is a very traditional media person. So that's what they did, and it was the worst strategy ever. It's really frustrating.
The things they've done have been useless. I mean, I don't think that's true at all. I think there's, you know, it's not easy. Like, not anyone can just get like a few hundred people together, go canvas or whatever. How many people they get, right? It's worth something. It's just not a huge, like, it's not game changing, you know. This isn't the future of streaming audiences and politics. It's just like, wow, epic. Wow, you got a few hundred people together. Wow, good job. Wow.
When old boomers who haven't kept up with technology are at the helm and unwilling to update and change, despite like everyone clamoring at them of being like, you don't know what you're talking about. But also, to be clear, I don't know how loud people were clamoring at them because...
I mean, yeah, primarily it boosts Destiny, for sure. It's like an ego project. It's like a vanity project, right? It's not like a huge impact, but it's not like easy to do just to get like hundreds of people to a canvas.
One of the things that I realized since the election when
not
I've been
anyone could do
analyzing
that.
my own side and myself is that like one of the more common pitfalls amongst the left is that we can be cowards. So basically, since the election, since all that Destiny stuff popped off and it like kind of just like mentally wrecked me, and I decided in the process of it to actually take streaming seriously and treat it as a means to its end goal, I said, you know what I'm gonna stop doing? Being a coward, because I've been a coward like a lot.
Yeah, true.
And, like not pushed harder on things or pushed back on things within the Democratic Party or things that they were doing in their politics. And
oh yeah, oh right, sorry guys,
criticize.
sorry. She was being a coward about the Democratic Party, actually, guys. Sorry, guys. She wasn't being a coward on the internet. She was actually being a coward about the Democratic Party. Okay, she actually just wasn't criticizing the Democratic Party enough.
It's like I feel like I was
as a fucking Canadian. As a fucking Canadian, by the way.
Too quiet on how obviously old and senile Joe Biden was. Like I was like, I was like, yeah, he probably is, and I'd like make a couple jokes about him sniffing kids.
Dude, like when people talk about Democrats being too quiet or lying about Joe Biden's mental state, they're not talking about you, Erudite. They're talking about like Nancy Pelosi and fucking AOC. And fucking Kamala Harris. They're talking about, like, top-ranking Democrat. When they say Democrats lied about Joe Biden's mental state, yeah, obviously, the public don't have good evidence for the truth about Joe Biden's mental state. You can make sort of interpretation, but, oh, that's a bad gaffe. But the ones who really had information were high-ranking Democrats who knew him, who had to work with him. That's who they're talking about, Erudite. It's not talking about you when you hear that line.
I didn't go hard, okay? I could have gone hard. I could have talked about, like, how he's, like, obviously senile and old. And while he had a really great term, like, you genuinely did, it's just, like, a little spoopy. Because you're like, look.
Dude, 30-year-old woman, little spoopy. 30-year-old woman, 35-year-old woman, little spoopy. Dude. Get me out. Get me out. Put the political analysis in the bag. Stop the fucking quirky fucking Zoomer bullshit. And put the political analysis in the bag, bitch.
His cabinet did a great job running the country. And that's comforting to some degree to know that, like, the staffers around within the Democratic Party, even the highest levels, are still really competent and capable. But also, like, this probably shouldn't be public. Like, that's probably not good. It's probably... especially because of what the president has really come to mean to the American people. It's just not good. It's just not what people want.
Structure is getting a pass for now.
I decided to be super gloves off.
I will not ban this user.
I will say, I was prepped, okay? I was prepped of being like, just, you know, they're gonna feel uncomfortable with edgy language and humor, and a lot of them are decently like PC, like they're PC liberals, so their actual positions are probably much more moderate and reasonable to a lot of people, but they kind of feel the need to do the PR bloviating game of sounding further left than they are. And this is a really big problem actually with Democratic policies to me, is that most of the people running in politics are not nearly as far left as they pretend to be. This is frustrating.
Structure, can you stop, man? Cut it out. Okay, that's why. There's no way you didn't notice it both times.
For both the leftists, who are basically having their aesthetic robbed from, because it's what's the dominant culture, what was like the cool culture for a while, when the politician or the staffer behind it doesn't really believe it. But it's also the leftists' fault because they were driving such massive cancel culture and holding everyone hostage to their sensitivities and offenses. So we did the first group where they basically gave us information on the election, who voted, who didn't vote, why they voted, exit survey data. Honestly, really awesome first little session. And then they're like, okay, we're going to do a group discussion, and we're going to, like, you know, use our talking sticks. So if you want to talk, like, put up your little sign. And I was like, look that. Like, I've been on way too many debate panels to know that, like, if you pause a group and you just like take in order who put their hand up first, all that happens is people monologue at each other for like a day straight. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. And
well, yeah, it's just like a debate panel.
So we started out the first thing, and there was a group there that I had met before, a different representative of that group, but I was like, I need to ask you questions because I don't know where the fuck this data is coming from. I have an idea. I know you guys are citing it, but like, what are you doing for methodology? What are you doing to check for like bad source data? What are you doing about the fact that like most survey respondents are fucking weirdos? Like weirdos. Because in fact, this is something I learned at this, almost a large portion of the people.
So everyone always thinks she's on drugs or drunk or something. I don't think she is. I think she's sober. I think she is just this much of a weird retard.
Fill out surveys, like American-based surveys that pay, are from Indonesia and like northern Nigeria. And so you'll be comforted to know they do remove that data from all of our political polling and stuff. They like explicitly remove it, and they track it in a number of like kind of interesting, sneaky ways that I won't give.
Is she gonna say anything? God damn.
Well. But
give a thought.
They actually do a really good job of cutting those out. But I will say I wasn't wholly satisfied.
Yo. Thank you, Structura. Huge appreciate it. Thank you.
By some of the methodology, but also it was like hour one. So I didn't want to just like beat the fuck out of like the first person. And then hour two, I was asked to present with a couple of people. So the first person went, we were talking about basically like content creation, what it means, what are the different platforms, how do they work, what are the audiences like, which I've actually done lots of research on the last year because that was kind of my job. Thank you, Devin Nash. Amazing resource for this. Not my only resource, but an incredible resource on understanding who watches streams, why, where, what are the values, what are the metrics that actually matter, because the Democratic Party was like, views, all that matters is views. And I was like,
politics live streams are watched by already decided voters anyway. I think there's some truth to that. However, I think a lot of people, there's like a significant portion of people whose political opinions are basically entirely shaped by like the entertainment they're consuming. I think any time that you hear of someone who's like politically changing a lot and going between different content, it's like about basically entertainment. That's how a lot of people get into like being super right wing as well, is because so much entertainment online is basically right wing focused. They start off by just watching like, you know, like it's kind of like the alt-right pipeline thing, but it's not quite like that. It's like it's basically just someone enjoys watching like video game content, and that's how they start. But then all video game content is like, it's like 80% right wing online. So you are, you know, you're just sort of like, that's what you're enjoying, and your views end up being shaped around that, because your whole worldview is like, if all you're seeing, if you're not consuming like big mainstream geopolitics news stuff, you know, stuff about how the economy's doing, if you're not consuming all of that, your entire worldview ends up being shaped around basically the biggest issues are trans people being really annoying. Everyone thinks that you shouldn't be able to, that all video games should have ugly women in. Like, these are basically the key issues that exist in your entire worldview. Because you don't have any framing for anything else. Yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows having non-binary, black samurai and shit. Like, that's like basically, these are the biggest issues in your life because all you consume is that form of entertainment. Healing Taco, enjoy not being here for the rest of the stream.
Oh, no, it's not. That's one valuable, it's a good metric. It's a valuable heuristic to make sure that if it gets a lot of views, it's at least drawing people in. It's content that pulls people in. But I had to spend a lot of time explaining, for example, to the Democrat Party this year, being like, hey, just so you know, streamers will always get less views. People in general just don't tune into streams. They stream for hours at length. There's just not going to be millions of people that sit.
Yeah, and then, but that's the thing though, Trax, is that's the next step, right, isn't it? Is once you hate all that, once you're on board with all those issues, then you're like, well, everything sucks, and all this stuff sucks, and everything must suck for the same reason. But why does everything suck? And then eventually you get to the logical conclusion of that is it's because the Jews
sit there for hours at a time and watch a live streamer. That just isn't really how streaming works. Maybe in the future, but that's not what's going on. However, just so you guys know, on average, a typical streaming viewer is worth about $17, give or take, depending on your conversion.
The Jews have earned what they have, for real.
That's like a okay-ish estimate, whereas like a TikTok viewer is worth like 0.3 cents because they almost never convert. They typically don't get super attached to the TikToker, whereas people who go to a streamer and listen to them for like 5 to 8 hours at a time tend to take more seriously what the streamer says. It influences their thinking and stuff like that. They get a lot more information from them, and they're also more willing to support that streamer, believe in the things that the streamer says that they believe in. They're more likely to come out to charities that the like streamers trying to promote. Yeah, you're worth $17, which, by the way, probably should be, I think Devin Nash talks about this anyways, but it's something that like I saw a lot of like the donor side, like people that work with donors, like their eyes just go like cha-ching, and I was like, yup. So just because somebody like Hassan only gets 35K views live only, which they see as
that's a good point actually. Streamers compared to like your average content creator, I think the dollar per like minute viewed or whatever is like way higher. Like I think streaming is like basically the you know, as good as it gets in content creation for like dollar per minute a viewer spends like on your content. Like TikTokers don't make fucking any money. Videos on YouTube do better, slightly better than that. But like streaming is like, you know, that's the maximum revenue per person basically.
Only. Every one of those viewers is worth like, I don't know, what's 0.3 cents up to 17. What's the percentage increase? Probably over 1,000%. Yeah, it's just like manifold. And we also went into, I was at that $17 for a stream viewer versus a TV viewer. I actually don't know a TV viewer's dollar worth. Probably pretty low, specifically. Well, actually, probably not, because TV viewers can get more easily like passively exposed to advertisements and passive exposure to advertising over and over and over again has its own kind of net value, but I don't know what it is. I have never looked into like traditional media value, which maybe I should, but whatever, that's behind me now. So anyways, first guy went talking about content creation, what we need to do. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, true. That's a good point. Like OnlyFans and cam girls and shit probably make more than streaming. That's actually probably true. That's probably more dollar per customer or like viewer.
It doesn't matter. Probably shouldn't even cite it anyways. So, and then a couple of people that talked, and then it was my turn to talk. And so
Devin, like, Twitch is dying tomorrow, Nash.
Okay, because I was literally asked to go there and grab Democratic staffers by their shoulders and rattle them over and over and over and be like, if you can't figure out how alt media works, we're fucked. Figure it out. Figure it the fuck out. Or don't and give up. Those are your two options. And so I started out with a story.
Wow, what a unique insight Erudite is giving there. What a unique insight. No one else is saying this. No one else is saying that the Democrats need a better alt media like environment, like the right wing is saying. Literally no one else has said this before you, Erudite. I'm glad Erudite is there with the Democrats, giving them the unique insight that only she can come up with. You know, the Dems actually need a better alt media environment. They could actually do with maybe something like their own Joe Rogan. Thanks, Erudite. Thanks for the input.
I said, have you guys ever heard of the idiom? Because, by the way, these people are all incredibly brilliant people. Like, everyone there was like, most of them had a master's minimum. Like, they're very capable. They are all, a lot of them from Legacy, like lots of Ivy League schools. Like, yeah, very outclassed as far as like education. Very impressive people, which is crazy to be in a room of impressive people and just commit to bullying to them, I guess. But although I don't think they felt bullied, they really liked me by the end, which was very shocking. But I said, have you guys ever heard of the idiom icebergs aren't cold? And they said no. And I said, great, because I made it up, so you probably wouldn't have. I'm funny. Anyways, so I was like, okay, so let me imagine this story. Okay, you're on the Titanic, you're barreling towards the iceberg, and you're like freaking out, right? Because you know that you're barreling towards an iceberg and you're maybe gonna die. And the captain comes over the intercom.
No, I'm like cringing.
Don't worry. Okay, we figured out the solution. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna start handing out blankets and starting fires right away. Everything will be okay. You're obviously gonna be like, what the fuck do you mean you're handing out blankets? And just so it's clear, I'm swearing this much because they just gotta get over it. No better way to get over swearing and naughty words than through constant regular exposure.
Dude, yeah, I'm sure the Democrat, like random Democrat staffers and shit are really like anti-swearing. They're really like, wow, swearing is really bad. It's totally not just that, you know, Democrat candidates don't typically like swear and insult people on TV like modern Republican candidates do. So yeah, I'm sure there are all these adults, you know, full-grown adults, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, working in politics. They're really sensitive to swearing, guys. They're really sensitive to swearing. Lots of people like that still around, especially liberal people who are super sensitive to swearing and anti-swearing. Like, what delusional, remedial world does she live in? She literally talks like a fucking 5-year-old. It's crazy. She is, like, so stunted. Why you really think these people are like terrified of swearing? And Erudite, you're gonna be the one that breaks down their prudish attitude towards bad language. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What world are you living in?
By somebody that you've asked to come and you feel like you have to be polite to. And they were very, very, very polite. They were all lovely to me. I just want to be very clear. They were incredibly lovely. It was an amazing day.
No, but people just picking up on the media. It really is like a young teenager's view of old people. It's just like a Wattpad fanfiction written by an edgy 12-year-old. Yeah, she is like permanently stuck in Reddit, 15-year-old Reddit, everyone clapped story mindset. That's like how her brain operates, how she sees the world. And
so they were all like, I was like, what would you do? And they were like, well, we'd be upset because the captain's handing out blankets and we're heading towards a Titanic. And I said, you're right. That would be bad because the problem isn't that icebergs are cold. In fact, it would be better if the captain didn't even think that the iceberg was cold, because the problem is that you're about to hit an iceberg and sink to the bottom of the ocean. That's the problem. You don't need blankets, you need life jackets. You need to try to steer the Titanic away if you can.
Yeah, what? What is the point of this idiom that she's come up with? Does it even count as an idiom if you come up with it? What is an idiom? What is an idiom? Does it not have to be a cultural thing? Well, I suppose you can make up an idiom. I suppose you can, technically. It just like sucks. It's just like a convoluted. It's just like a weird convoluted, like, I don't hypothetical or something.
And so they were all like, I was like, what would you do? And they were like, well, we'd be upset because the captain's handing out blankets and we're heading towards a Titanic. And I said, you're right. That would be bad, because the problem isn't that icebergs are cold. In fact, it would be better if the captain didn't even think that.
I don't actually. Yeah, I'm on board. I don't think this conversation happened. What? So you were setting up this retarded, complicated idiom that you've made up, and the person you were talking to gave you the exact response that you were looking for to carry on the idiom and explain the rest of it, despite that person having never heard it before and probably standing there thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, this is like the most everyone clapped shit in the world.
By somebody that you've asked to come and you feel like you have to be polite to.
And that DNC staffer's name was Albert Einstein.
And they were very, very
That's right.
polite.
It was Albert Einstein,
lovely.
guys.
I just want to be very clear. They were incredibly lovely. It was an amazing day. And so they were all like, I was like, what would you do? And they were like, well, we'd be upset because the captain's handing out blankets and we're heading towards a Titanic. And I said, you're right.
Okay, guys, please, less comments about Erudite's obviously fake tits. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Yes, she got fake tits. I'm sick of hearing about it.
Because the problem isn't that icebergs are cold. In fact, it would be better if the captain didn't even think that the iceberg was cold. Because the problem is that you're about to hit an iceberg and sink to the bottom of the ocean. That's the problem. You don't need blankets, you need life jackets. You need to try to steer the Titanic away if you can. You need to get the lifeboats ready. That's the problem. And that's also the solution to the problem. And so basically I said, it's really, really, really important that when we have problems that we correctly identify the most functional, practical issue. Icebergs being cold does suck, especially once your ship is sunk and you're in the water. But until you're in that situation, it is better to pretend that they're not, so that all of your focused energy can be on the biggest threat.
Okay, guys, you literally, why even bother questioning me? Now I have to go into a whole thing about it. You're literally retarded if you don't realize that they're fake. She has literally said that she had a fucking tumor or some shit in puberty that fucked up her hormones and made it so she was flat-chested. Then all of a sudden, like 6 months ago, she suddenly got tits. It makes no sense. Stop saying retarded shit. You're fucking stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Everyone who has been paying any attention has known this for months. You're just way late and dumb as fuck. And it's always women coping too. I wish you know they're not fake tits at all. It's always the most retarded women coping.
Which is the sinking of your ship and not being ready for that. And so then I said, how many of you think that we are currently undergoing a hostile government takeover and that the current prime minister, God, I'm so tired. The current president wants to take over the country. And of course, they all agreed with that, which I knew that they would. And I said, great. So I think we can all agree that's the most important problem. Full stop. Nothing even matters compared to that. Would you all agree? And they were like, yes. I asked them a couple of other questions, just like to get them warmed up to me being like, what do you guys think Democrats got wrong? You know, how do you think we failed? They had like a couple of answers. They were like, okay. And I said, because I just went in to go be spicy. So I need you to understand, okay? I'm in this boardroom.
Okay, you retards just derailed for like 5 fucking minutes. All comments on that are now banned, okay? We're moving on from that topic. Never being discussed again. If you bring it up, you will be just timed out for 24 hours.
Would you all agree? And they were like, yes. I asked them a couple of other questions just like to get them warmed up to me being like, what do you guys think Democrats got wrong?
Wow, great. You are just immediately going.
They had like a couple of answers. They were like, okay. And I said, because I just went in to go be spicy. So I need you to understand, okay? I'm in this boardroom. I'm in like the 12th floor, downtown Washington, D.C., in this like high-end, beautiful boardroom in this very, very impressive office that does very impressive work that I can't obviously list just because I doubt that they want that listed necessarily. Not because it's like secret. It was just Catherine House rules. And they're all looking at me, all these masters, you know, Yale, Harvard, Ivy League people, and said, how do you guys feel about the word retard? And they all got very uncomfortable. I'm not joking.
Yeah, what? Okay. I don't think candidates and shit should be saying the word retard. Does Trump even say retard? I don't even know if I've heard Trump call people retarded. Does Trump call people straight up retarded? I bet he usually calls people like slow and shit like that. I bet it's not even Trump doesn't go straight up, you're retarded. Yeah, he does like impressions and like mocks people for being disabled a little bit. But he doesn't actually call people like retard or shit like that. Yeah, it's all like dancing around it. Yeah, exactly. What is this idea? Oh, people need to say retarded. No, no. It's fine to do on the internet. It's fine to do between your friends. The idea that candidates or something should be saying retard. No. No, that's very stupid. That's a very stupid thing to say.
So, a bunch of them went, and a bunch of them got uncomfortable. And then this one incredible woman that I should have texted before to be like, can I cite you? Because you're allowed to say people's name if you get like permission, obviously. Turns to me, and she's like one of the leads of this group or whatever. And she was like, exactly. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Because this woman is literally the greatest Giga Trad. I love her. She's amazing. I literally was like, I want to be you. I want to be you when I'm your age.
I'm sick of these fucking millennials saying shit like Giga Chad. I'm sick of it. I'm sick. I can't take it anymore. I can't fucking take it. Stop the meme bullshit. We're done with it. Guys, we need to move past this meme bullshit phrasing. We need to move past it. I'm fucking sick of it. I can't take it anymore. Oh, Giga Chad. Oh, that's so Giga Chad. Wow. Giga Chad. Shut up. Shut up!
She looks amazing for her age. She's got 3 kids. She's a boss ass bitch. Like and so based. And then she started swearing the rest of the meeting. It was awesome. And she said, "You're so right."
Ding.
And I said, "You
leave me alone."
Any opinion that you want on the word retarded. I think it's totally reasonable to think it's a bad word and that you shouldn't say it. I think it's totally reasonable for you to think it's a neutral word and not carry either way. I think it's totally reasonable if you like saying it because it's kind of funny. I don't care what your opinion is. If you won't work with somebody or you hold back from including somebody in the fight against what you're claiming is the end of democracy over a word, you've missed the plot. It doesn't matter. Literally, just don't even bother with this problem. The rest of us will solve it. Because if that's enough to break your allied front, I don't know if I believe you that you actually care about democracy falling apart. And a lot of them were like uncomfortable, but I started seeing like more and more nods. And so
okay, but how many instances are there of Democrats not working with someone or cutting someone off because they said retard, like some social media personality? How many times has this happened? Seriously. I can't think of it. I can't think of an example. I can't think of an example. Yeah, it's just like Destiny PR. As if the biggest issue with Destiny to a Democrat is that he says retard. As if that's the biggest. That's why they don't want to associate, is because he says retard. Like, I don't think so. I don't think that's the biggest issue.
I said, if we don't get our priorities right, if we don't focus on the fact, if we keep focusing on icebergs being cold and not that they're about to sink our ship, we're lost. This entire thing is lost. So if you can't get over edgy humor,
can you say onomatopoeia?
You're never gonna reach a lot of young people because they like edgy humor, right? It's just a way of code switching to some degree.
Why did you get me to say that? Thank you for the $5, Devil Commander Damien. Fellow Democrats, what if we ask Trump when the narwhals, when the narwhal bacons, or when we proclaim ourselves the fucking Giga Chads? Take the gloves, kids, off. Okay.
How many people got mad at you for the rest of the meeting? One. They actually all came around to me. So anyways, we start having this long form discussion. We start talking about social media. We start going into length and like explaining as they ask questions like TikTok versus Twitch and YouTube live streaming versus video essays versus Substack and like how all of these different platforms worked. And I wasn't the only person there who was a content creator. So I went out of my way to make sure that I looped people in and stuff like that. And I also outlined, for example, of being like, everyone can have a different approach to this problem. It's not obvious what the solution is. Everyone has an opinion what the solution is. Some people think that the solution is playing nice with the Republicans. Some people think it's not playing nice. And the problem is, it's really hard to know the answer to that. It's probably both in different situations. And I said, also, I don't want you to say the word retard. I want you to let me say the word retard if I so choose to with my platform. Because if I agree with 99% of our problems, but you won't work with me over...
Okay, but how many times this happened? Seriously, how many times it happened that just saying retard, someone purely on the basis that they've said retard, has been unable to work with the Democrats? Seriously, how many times has this happened? How many, has this ever happened even once?
For that word, we're lost. We're completely lost. And I said, we also have to have really... I said, we also have to have really, really hard lines.
What gives you the ego to think you have the answer to the toughest problems facing a national political party in a country you're not from? Dude, so true. You know, I was actually... a great time to briefly mention that I was watching an episode of The Rest is Politics with Rory and Alistair the other day on this similar topic to this. And they were saying that they were frustrated with the Democratic Party in America because they weren't doing anything to analyze why they lost. And they didn't say, you know, they're not talking to YouTubers about how YouTubers think they could have done better. That's not what they said. They were looking for like some kind of official like review process that looked into like data and did some polling, looked at like what the candidates were doing throughout the election, did an actual analysis and review of exactly what happened in the election, how they might have been able to win, where their points of pain were. So the idea that a single content creator, random ass Canadian YouTuber, is saying, just sitting here saying, oh, I know how to fix it. I know how to, you just gotta say retard. It's absurd. It's just a total lack of humility. Can someone find some dirt on Rory Stewart already? Bro, you're such a hater. You're such a hater. Mad as fuck that Alistair Campbell was innocent of sexing up that dossier. Didn't do that. Total bullshit attack. Thank you for the $20, Lord of War. Thank you, thank you. Hello, Mr. President. We need to talk about ending hostilities in the Ukraine. It's not the Ukraine, but sure. But first, crack open an IPA and play some Cards Against Humanity with us. We're going to be saying the word retard a few times. Yeah, that just happened. Thank you for the $20, Lord of War. They tried to get Rory Stewart the other day. They tried to get Rory and Alistair the other day with this whole Alawite thing in Syria. Because there was, Maybe we'll talk about this later, but it's total bullshit, man. They're trying to tear down my boys Rory and Alistair because they did an interview with the new fucking leader of Syria who replaced Assad. And basically, the Alawites, who are like this Muslim esoteric group, who were really kind of the like top-ranking guys in like Assad's regime. They're like a bunch of intelligence officers and military officers and shit. This Alawite ethnic group, a bunch of them banded together and launched attacks on the new government. And then the government forces and a bunch of other like disparate like militias and shit basically banded together and subdued it. And it ended in just like a bunch of fucking fighting where there was just culling of like fucking like attacks on villages and shit. Because there was just a bunch of disparate, like poorly commanded fucking militias running around fighting basically. And then everyone started going after Rory and Alistair because they interviewed the new leader, acting like he just ordered a genocide and that Rory and Alistair were totally on board with it. Well, that's not what happened. And like obviously they're going to interview the new leader of Syria. Like, what, you're not meant to interview world leaders anymore? You're co-signing a world leader if you interview them? Like, that's... like, what the fuck?
Lines about what our party does and doesn't stand for, what liberalism does and doesn't stand for. And if we can't even... The
Assad family or allies? Yeah.
If we can't all collectively go, look, we'll work with you, but terrorist propaganda isn't it. We're not doing that shit anymore. We're just not doing that shit. We're lost. You're never going to connect. So anyways, it was really awesome. We had lots of really good discussions. They brought up shame at one point. And so just so it's clear, a lot of people disagree with me, but they started arguing for why shame is probably really important, that it would be good to get like better dunk videos on Republicans and blah, 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 blah. And I said, look, just so it's clear, like, I think shame videos work for some audiences. I don't think they're obviously wrong, but I want to also advocate for not shaming people. And I said, I think there are some people that should be shamed and others that shouldn't. And I said, I think shaming like the average Republican voter probably isn't a super good idea, specifically because of this. Shame is really effective at getting people to change minor behaviors that are easy to change. And then somebody goes, yeah, but voting is like really easy. It's just like a different box. And I said, yeah, it's not an easy change. It's one a large change. And we know like through obesity study, shame doesn't work to change really difficult behaviors, really deeply ingrained things.
It's just like so much of this is like outdated, like retarded content creation ideas about politics. The reason the Republicans are winning is because Ben Shapiro does feminist dunking videos on college campuses. That's why the Republicans are winning. No, it's not.
And your political ideology is oftentimes for people their identity, it's their social culture, it's their worldview, it's their view of others. It's like it's tied to some of the most central pieces of what make us us and how we view ourselves. That, in my view, asking people to change through shame their vote is probably useless. And I said, I think it's fine when you shame Tim Pool for lying through his teeth. I think that that's fine, right? I think it's fine if you shame Tim Pool for just like making up shit. There was like that clip that we talked about the clip of Luke Beasley being on Tim Pool and Tim Pool telling this crazy story about something that happened in New York. And then, and then Luke Beasley goes, oh, I froze.
So basically, all her strategy / points come back to wanting to accept Destiny Incorporated style. Yes. That's what she's built her whole perspective up around. It's what her whole thoughts on this are built up around. It's how she's gotten into politics, how she's consumed politics for the last few years. Everything is built around Destiny. It's all about Destiny, and that's all the feedback she's giving the Democrats is Destiny. You need Destiny. That's it. Because that is all that's where her mind's been at. Bridges was set up to get this guy more connections. That was the point of Bridges. That's why it's called Bridges. It was to give him a branch into the more serious political world. Her whole perspective for the last 2 years, has been basically how to get Destiny into more of the mainstream. Because that's her job. That was her job. Now, her job's kind of fallen away, but she's still looking for ways to make that work.
Oh, I'm back. And Luke Beasley goes, I don't know if that's true. Can we just like pull up the story? And they pull up the story, and Tim Pool was like wrong about everything that he had said. It was just like everything was off. Shame. I also argued, for example,
it's insane how much stock she's put in one person. She's not the only one. She's not the only one. Look at how many DGGs there were out there saying, oh, we need Destiny for the fight against Trump. We need this YouTuber. This a sub-million subscriber YouTuber to fight Trump.
They were like, well, we haven't really tried. Like, the left just doesn't really shame the right. And I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know where you've been since 2016, but the left shames the right lots. I started talking about shame, and they were like, no, shut her down. We need to shame more. We need to break the government more. We need to make people hate each other more. That's the real solution, guys, I promise. Basically, I started arguing. I was like, look, I'm sorry. If shame was going to work, it would have worked. We've been doing it since 2016. The idea that the left hasn't been shaming the right is just not true. While I would agree that House-sitting Democrats have been willing to play ball way more than Republicans have, and I think that there's some staunch old-timers that like won't break certain social rules, the reality is that we have been doing shame, and it seems to just not be working. We saw that from the data. People don't want to vote for Kamala. They didn't want to. And the like last...
Dude, Kamala was not doing shame. What is this delusion? Dude, and this is another thing. This is just like totally delusional a reading of what just happened. The idea, she's bought into this idea that, oh, Democrats just shame the voters all the time. They just talk down and shame the voters, and they just like you're a bad person if you vote Trump. Dude. Republicans will literally call Democrat voters like pedophile supporters. They will say they're just voting for pedophiles, so the pedophilic elite and all this shit. Kamala's campaign was literally like, guys, we need to come together. All Americans need to stand together. You know, all this shit. It was like all about healing, national unity, understand all this fucking bullshit. That's what it's been for ages. That's what the Democrats have been trying. That is what they were told to try in 2016. That's how they ran the 2020 election. That's how they run 2024. The thing they're reckoning with now is the idea that, wait, maybe the standard liberal national unity, we all need to stand together and you know, be on one, you know, we all look out for each other's interests and raise up the weak. Maybe that's not working. Maybe that standard liberal line isn't working. Maybe it needs to be more reality TV, more fighting, less helping the weak, and more killing your enemies. That's what they're reckoning with now. You are 8 years too late on this line of thinking.
Minute moderate attempt was way too little too late. And to be clear, what we need to do is mostly shame our own side for being nasty all the time, especially to each other. Cancel culture, okay? We don't like that this person talked to this person. They're not a true leftist anymore. All of this.
Rudex, what do you mean, yeah, more Trump
a young
bad?
Girl, my father took me into Tim Hortons to see an Indian.
Like, what a retarded thing. So this is like the most low IQ engagement ever. Yeah, every political party says the opponent is bad. That's what Democrats do. That's what Republicans do. What a low IQ engagement.
This stuff. And so I said, just to be clear, I could be wrong. It's possible that maybe shaming is the answer, but I want to put on the table that maybe it's not for the average Republican voter, because there is a lot of people who
Thank you, Night Howl. Thank you.
This year. They were incredibly dissatisfied. And we've allowed shame culture on the left to grow rampant, and we're unironically held hostage by it. All the leftist shit that liberals have been complaining about for, like, especially liberals like me, for years now, is shame culture. It's not going to work. Leftist shaming me doesn't make me want to be a leftist more. It never has. It makes me hate leftists. In fact, I struggle because it's wrong, but sometimes I think I dislike leftists more than conservatives, which, to be clear, probably shouldn't. We're probably more aligned broadly. But purity testing, purity spirals, all of it, not good. And basically the entire room was like, yeah, I think you might be right. And I was like, I think that there are hard lines that we are brutal about. Like,
I feel like I see more shaming towards leftists from people like Erudite and Destiny than I do shaming towards people like Erudite and Destiny from leftists. At least in terms of, like, content creation. Like, you can argue that the attitude is more broadly shameful. Like, there's not a... Like, a lot of, you know, moderate lib types aren't going to have a, by default, like, definitional, looking down the nose attitude towards someone who's, like, a socialist. Whereas on the socialist, leftist, communist side, there's almost like a baked-in, like, oh, fuck shit libs. But when you actually look at the content that gets produced, way more often, it's moderate libs going, oh, look at these crazy lefty, blue-haired, whatever the fuck, you know, communists. Look at Hassan supporting terrorists. And there's way less leftists being, like, just crying about liberals. I feel like that's generally... When I look at the content, maybe I just see more of one and not of the other, but that's generally what I see more, is the shaming going from the lib direction towards the lefty direction. Like, they are constantly crying about Hassan. Like, it's non-stop. I like to say that as a lib. I'm a moderate lib. I like capitalism. I think it's epic.
Her main character syndrome is off the charts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the $5, Crab Navy General. Thank you. Yeah, Noah Samson put up a stupid video. But one 2-hour stupid video from Noah Samson where he's just bemoaning how many kids died in Gaza is, like, not representative of the general environment. You know, 30% of people who didn't vote in the 2024 election didn't do so because of the genocide in Israel. Well, I just said it could be what I'm seeing, Basito. Well, my understanding is Hassan doesn't just cover libs. Hassan doesn't just cover libs and shame libs. He generally covers right-wingers.
Kuihman waiting on that DM invite to sit in a chair beside Hassan and laugh nervously at toothy music videos.
Fuck yeah. I'd love to go to the Hassan McMansion. Like, it is, for all the complaints you can make about lefties, I think they do generally focus on right-wingers. They do, I usually hear this attitude of, like, you know, why bitch and cry about other people that are left-leaning when MAGA exists. That tends to be the attitude, from what I know. They think it is bad. Like, that's the attitude I hear from Vosh. That's the attitude I hear from Hassan. Would you consider the Democrats as liberals? Yeah? Okay, you guys are, like, not listening at all. I think we've just got a bunch of retarded, like, Hassan haters in chat again. They did attack AOC and Bernie. Yeah, I'm sure you can find individual examples where a politician who's a liberal did something I don't like and they go after them. Yeah, I'm sure you can find individual examples of that. I'm talking about the general content environment. If you're a lib, it is oftentimes a key part of your content, whether you're Destiny, whether you're NotSoErudite, whether you're Wick TV, whether you're fucking... I don't know, man. What other libs are there online? A key part of your content is Hassan bad, lefties bad, retarded college students bad, retarded blue hair people bad. That's a key part of your content, is that content. For lefties, I don't see that same attitude towards mainstream libs. Generally, lefties look over at Republicans. You're talking about the Destiny orbit, sure, but David Pacman and shit like that don't engage in any kind of drama shit, right? They don't engage in any culture war, retarded shit like that. David Pacman just does what's happening in fucking Washington today. So what are the other lib content creators? Spit out another name, Jimberly, if you've got a better example. Brianna Wu, again, she's not really Destiny Orbit directly. Again, Pondering Politics is like a super mainstream Washington-only guy, right? These guys like David Pakman and Pondering Politics, they are like Washington only. It's like, what is happening as the big headline CNN, Fox News thing today? Tanky types will say both parties are okay. That's fine. I'm convinced I'm right on this because literally nobody is coming up with any decent rebuttal. They keep talking about things that I'm not talking about, so that's fine. We'll move on.
JD Vance telling Zelensky to thank him after Zelensky had, right? Not okay. Not okay. Hard line. Completely abhorrent. Abhorrent. People voting Trump because they don't trust Biden anymore because everyone was just like obviously coping when they said that he wasn't senile. We shouldn't be shaming them for that, right? Shaming people because the American education system is so bad that most people don't know how their own
character syndrome is off the charts.
Thank you for the $5.
government works, which is why they were so easily ransacked by just straight up propaganda about their government, about how things work, about the structures, about incentive systems, about payment systems. Gosh. Shaming people because the government never properly educated them isn't useful. It's stupid. And it chases people away. That's why people hate fundamental religious people, because they're awful. They're literally awful. And they were like, by the end, they were like snapping, especially that one.
Outside of DGG, who are the lib creators going after lefties? I don't know. I don't know who I can think of, because there aren't really many, like, lib, you know, content creators in the traditional sense outside of DGG. They have all coalesced there. Or did. Like, the only ones that are big, other than them, it's a bullshit point then. No, it's not, because when Erudite talks about lefties, she just means Hassan's orbit, you fucking retard. Like, who are the lefties attacking libs outside of Hassan's orbit? It's Hassan, Second Thought, Frogan, Denims. That's who she's talking about. So it's not. In any way a bullshit point, because it is just two orbits. It is just two orbits fighting, and that's all she's crying about. Bro, that's retarded. That's like saying the more people covered Tide Pods, the more like I am do 'em. Yeah, you can go for the next 24 hours just how retarded that message is. I literally don't know what you're even trying to say. Failed to type it. Chat's got to improve, guys. Got to improve. Let him cook. I'll pass.
Gosh. Shaming people because the government never properly educated them isn't useful. It's stupid. And it chases people away. That's why people hate fundamental religious people, because they're awful. They're literally awful. And they were like, by the end, they were like snapping, especially that one incredible chick. So we have this whole conversation. We start talking about a bunch of stuff. And of course, young men gets brought up, because young men is the area more than any other group
Oh,
that moved
boy.
towards Trump. And so we were trying to ask the conversation of like, why? And so
They were
lot of them
snapping.
kept talking about, for example, one person brought up brilliant point where they brought up the talking point from Michelle Obama, where she said young men just need to learn how to sit down and be quiet and let the women talk. And he you know, this individual was being very polite to the group. He's like, you know, whether we agree with that talking point or not, you know, it's not great. And just so you guys know, it was so funny. After I gave all this and I was saying swears and stuff, so many, not all of them, but there's a number of staff there that just like kind of...
Dude, she totally changed the environment in the room, guys. She totally changed their perspective, guys. And then everyone clapped. And that DNC staffer's name was Albert Einstein. And then everyone clapped.
Let their hair out, and they were a lot more open with their opinion.
Did they let their hair out? What?
Very, very polite to the group. He's like, you know, whether we agree with that.
Confucius
point or not,
says,
no, it's just...
Canadian cow who run mouth, make empty buckets and exhausted men. Other waste.
So, guys, I went to the DNC and I basically said how awesome Destiny in his orbit is, and how terrible Hassan and his orbit is, and everyone started clapping and they were all like, wow, yeah, we need more like Destiny and less like Hassan, wow. And they were all taking their hair out, and by the end of it they were like, whoa, yeah, I think being a lib who says the N-word is really awesome, actually. I think being a lib saying the N-word is actually really freaking awesome.
It's not
And
great.
they were snapping.
Just so you guys know,
They were
it's so
snapping.
funny. After I gave all this and I was saying swears and stuff, so many, not all of them, but there's a number of staff there that just like kind of let their hair out, and they were a lot more open with their opinion. They were way
So thank you, Topher, for $10. Thank you.
That, like, they realized that a bunch of like the Michelle Obama talking line is awful. It's just
Yeah, they all
terrible.
started chanting
So
the
this guy
N-word,
says
hard R.
you know, no matter how much we agree with it. And this other chick who was also awesome, she's very funny, won't say her name, she like pipes up, she's like, what a terrible messaging. Hey guys, shut up. Why won't they vote for us? Bye, Meow.
Erudite, I hope your super short stream is good. I need to leave now. Be safe, girly pop.
Bye-bye.
This guy's
So
ill.
by this point, like, people were like letting it go. There was a lot of like men in the group that were being like, yeah, I feel like our messaging with men just needs to be like, just be whoever you are. Like, it's totally fine to be anyone. Everyone just wants to like live their lives. Like, just be yourself. And I was like, no, that is not the messaging that young men need. I was like, you need to ask yourself why Tate is so popular amongst young men, why they want to watch Fresh and Fit, why they're like inceldom is at a higher rate than before, why increasingly they're shifting right. What is Trump doing that's appealing to them? Being honest with them. That first of all, who you are isn't likely going to be
Wait. Trump's being honest with them? Yeah? Okay, let's hear it, Erudite. Let's hear it.
right. What is Trump doing that's appealing to them? Being honest with them. That first of all, who you are isn't likely going to be enough to get you a date. If it was, you'd already have a date. You wouldn't be listening to me, okay? You probably have to do...
Wait, when has Trump said that? I don't remember Trump giving dating advice. The only dating advice Trump's given is, if you've got a lot of money, women will let you do anything to them. That's the only dating advice I've heard from Trump.
extra stuff to get a girl. That's just the reality, because previously in society, one of the most important things was just having a stable job and like being in the community and not completely socially inept. But now that women are working increasingly and they don't need men to provide income, men have to perform on other metrics. But we haven't socialized men how to perform on all these metrics. We've told them your feelings are bad, anger is really evil and you should never have it, masculinity is gross, we don't like it. And so if you want to appeal to men, what they're looking for, number one, they're looking for a male role model. They don't know who to be. They're terrified. Number two, Stop punishing them for what other men did who are old. And
yeah, you can just say so much of her perspective is just colored by where she's been. I'm sure you have been exposed to a lot of men, a lot of young men who are desperately seeking a male role model. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen a lot of that, Erudite.
And garbage, by the way. A 23-year-old should not be punished for something that some other 70-year-old white dude did. It doesn't make any sense. And we just are doing this, especially young white men, but kind of all of the men. Just
the mental image of a boardroom full of men and women in suits snapping their fingers and stretching their eyelids sideways with lampshades on their heads and chanting F-slur at a Trump picture.
Thank you for the $10, Kimberly. Thank you.
Just in general, men are not allowed to talk about certain things or people are going to get really upsetty spaghetti. In fact, I didn't say this, but even in the meeting...
upsetty
like
spaghetti, wow.
This guy won't care if I say... actually, no, I won't, just because he might. There was other people there who I knew agreed with me and was trying to say lines of like what I was saying, but he was a white dude. There was no way that he could be like nearly as like fierce or spicy, because regularly I would be like, hey, I'm so sorry, because like people just like wah 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 and just like talk in circles about nothing, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna interrupt you, I'm so sorry, we only have like today, and I don't think any of this has to do with anything. Like I'm sorry, I don't know why we're talking about like this really specific niche group, because again,
all Kuihman ever does brings problems, point out problems. NSE brings solutions. Sure, it's vague and retarded and from like a narrow sky gate.
I even pointed this out. I was like, we started out this conversation in the third session about young men, and now we're talking about like trans people's rights in sports. Like I don't know which wasn't actually what we were talking about, but it was like niche like that. And I was like, this is the whole problem. Nobody's just allowed to sit and talk about young male issues, because there are young male issues. There just are. They are struggling. We aren't socializing them in a lot of ways. We aren't even allowing masculinity to just be okay. I like even said, I was like, look, one of the reasons why young men want to watch Democrats is because they're not very manly, like at all. And I didn't say this, but I wanted to be like, look around the room. Like no one here is super. There's like one guy that was like, no, there was two guys that were like quite masculine. And like, that's it. That's like, that's all we got, folks. And one of them, you're going to get offended by. No, three. Sorry. There was three men.
Yeah, as opposed to Trump. Like, the Republicans are such fucking beacons of masculinity with fucking J.D. Vance writing about how he thinks he's gay in his fucking book. And Trump, literally, like, what has Trump done that's actually masculine? It's just forceful masculine language. It's masculine language. That's basically it. It's like masculine rhetoric. It's like being aggressive and assertive and, you know, insulting people. That's basically it. That's all she's talking about here. Yeah, I feel like Biden was like more traditionally masculine if you actually looked at like what he'd done in his life, no? Hunter Biden is very traditionally masculine. They fucking hate him. He fucks horse, does crack, and has a huge cock.
And two of them you're getting offended by and don't want to listen to. Like, masculinity isn't allowed in the Democratic Party, but masculinity's fine. And they were like, yeah, we really need to like find a way to capture positive masculinity. And I was like, no, what we need to do is look at masculinity as it is and be honest about the good parts and just let men have it. It's good that they're assertive and aggressive. It's bad when they're violent. It's good that they want to protect others. It's good that they are willing to put their life on the line for things that they care about. That's incredible. That's masculine. It's amazing. It's not bad. They like rough and tumble sports. That's fine. Who cares? That's just neutral shit. Just let them be like that.
Who is saying you can't have sports? Who is saying you can't have contact sports? Which Democrat is saying we need to get rid of contact sports? What is this? What are we fucking talking about? Thank you for the raid, Beckett. Thank you. Welcome in, Becky Raiders. Welcome in, welcome in. We're sharing Erudite's thoughts on politics.
Tell them that
no more sports. That's the Democrat Party position for the last 8 years.
Is okay. Tell them what healthy masculinity is as it emerges in our society right now. You might have ideas of what you want masculinity to look like. And we can
she's fighting like not even 2016 SJW talking points, like before that. Like way before, like 2000s, like She's doing like 2000s like health and safety talking points. You remember when people always used to be really concerned about like, or like right wingers would pretend they cared about like lefties being too health and safety focused. Like, oh, kids aren't allowed to climb trees anymore. Kids aren't allowed to climb trees. Kids aren't allowed to play rugby anymore. Like, you know, that sort of shit. She's like on that. Nobody thinks about that shit anymore. That's not a talking point anymore. That's not a battle that anyone fights. I was like, yeah, of course you have, it's about transports, maybe. Nobody's talking about kids not being able to climb fucking trees.
But we're not even there yet. We haven't even just been honest about the good parts of current modern day masculinity, which there are good parts about. So yeah, I was basically like super feisty. I kept interrupting people. I kept telling them to like stop talking. I think I frustrated like 3 people a fair bit. But by the end, I'm not joking. Like, I think I said retard like 5 times at minimum. Like, I tried to like dial it back. I didn't want to like completely lose my audience. But it's also a pain in the comment response to this. So you're saying women can't do positive masculine things. True. Well, I actually talked a fair bit about femininity and masculinity too. And I was like, it's fine when women do masculine things. We praise that. We don't praise when men do masculine things. Why? Like, we love when women are in sports and being like fierce. We in the liberal side say that we love like a strong woman. You guys all seem to like me, but we don't like that in a man. Like, why? Strong men are great as long as they're also moral. Like, strong women are great as long as they're also moral.
Be fair, Kuihman, she hasn't been making her own content for 2 years. She's catching up.
Is she still not? She's been spoken through like a puppet.
Why only Tree of Logic talking about how many of the masculine role models are closet cases? Do any of them have pics where they look at women with the same longing as their brothers?
Thank you for the 9.99, Crab Navy General. Thank you.
So I was super nervous because I was pretty ruthless. I didn't really shield them from my language. I didn't shield them from my opinion. And I did not shield them about the like level of like shit garbage that they had done, that had occurred with how media was approached, which, to be fair, most of them are there because they agree at least with that presupposition. And I was expecting to walk out and have like, I knew I was jiving with at least like 2 people. Okay. They're like, yeah. So I was like,
wow,
they'll probably work with me. But basically every single person but 2, and I don't even know if the 2 didn't come up to me just because there wasn't time. Basically, because we went out for drinks and stuff after, I hung out with multiple of these people until like 10 p.m.
Wow.
Hung out with a few people until like super late, just like talking about like life at that point. And talking about how like Democrats, for example, need to be human and they're just not. I was like set in a wilderness camp. Like, these people need.
Well, getting drunk super late and talking about your thoughts on I'm sure those are really great discussions, really important discussions. Wow. This is like standard networking event. Like, actually. Yeah, we spoke about really important stuff. No, you didn't. You got drunk with a bunch of other fucking unimportant retards. Barely discussed the issue. Form some slight relationships that might help you make money in a few months.
To like go out in the wild and just like spend time with farmers. Like, I outlined to them as well. They were like, men.
It just sounds like it's basically a networking event. Thank you for the $5. Huge appreciate it. Thank you.
Men should just be themselves. And I was like, no, and you don't even want them to, because a lot of men are kind of sexist, kind of racist, very edgy, very socially inept, and insecure. You don't want them to be like that. Nobody does, especially because nobody's compassion for young men. Nobody likes that shit. What they need is to be told, it's okay.
Okay, literally just the profile of a DGGer there. The profile, it's not all young men, Erudite. It's not all young men.
Your struggles are real, they're valid, and unfortunately nobody cares, so you do have to be better. But here are a couple of things that you can try. And I was like, that's why people like the red pill, because that's what they're saying to these young men. And then it's built into this like almost like sexually masturbatory hate porn, but that's what pulls them in initially, right? Most men don't start being like, man, I just really want to tell ugly bitches that are fucking sluts. Usually it's like, man, my girl.
Okay, that's rare. Good point. Okay. Absolutely is true. Hate porn, okay phrasing for it. Hate porn is a great attractant for young men. Very true. Very true. We love being hateful creeps out here. We love being hateful creeps. Very true.
Men are kind of sexist, kind of racist, very edgy, very socially inept, and insecure. You don't want them to be like that. Nobody does, especially.
But I think that's pretty much everyone. I think pretty much everyone is like that. Well, not everyone, but like even older men are like that. Women aren't often like this into old age. But even like, you know, your average reform voter in the UK, ultimately, the reason why they like reform is because reform is going to help them kill their enemies. That's what they want to do. That's the feeling they want, is they want an enemy and they want someone to take out their anger on them. And that's the most convincing, motivating thing for many people, is just to have someone they fucking hate and want to tear down.
Because nobody's compassion for young men. Nobody likes that shit. What they need is to be told, it's okay, your struggles are real, they're valid, and unfortunately nobody cares, so you do have to be better. But here are a couple of things that you can try. And I was like, that's why people like the red pill, because that's what they're saying to these young men. And then it's built into this like almost like sexually masturbatory hate porn. But that's what pulls them in initially, right? Most men don't start being like, man, I just really want to tell ugly bitches that are fucking sluts. Usually it's like, man, my girlfriend cheated on me, or man, I've been on this dating app forever and it's horrible and it's breaking my brain. Which, by the way, remember, get off the apps. If you're not having luck, if you've gotten one date in like a year, get off the apps. It's gonna make you hate women.
Dude, okay, this does not explain why people are voting Democrat, though. This explains, like, red pill content, like, popularity. The hate porn thing does not explain why people aren't voting Democrat. The reason young men aren't voting Democrat is because Democrats' entire policy has been focused around making things better for women and minorities for, like, 60 years, and now men are there is a significant cohort of like young white men that are disenfranchised, and there's nothing being done about it, and they can see there's nothing being done about it, and they know there will never be anything done about it because all these other groups are getting constant attention. That's why young men aren't voting Democrat or aren't voting any left-wing party, is because there is not even lip service to the idea of doing anything. Young white men are the real victims in this world. It's obviously not like that. That's obviously a ridiculous framing. But the point is that, like, young men have fallen behind in college, for example. Women are ahead of men in college. Are there a bunch of programs trying to help men do better in college? Are there a bunch of outreach and, like, get more men into, you know, fucking humanities or whatever programs? No. It's all more women in STEM, more women in college, even when women have already surpassed men. So there is a cohort of young men who feel disenfranchised, probably a significant cohort as well, of young men, working class and middle class, lower middle class, that feel disenfranchised because there is literally not a single thing. There is nothing with their name on it that says, hey, we're here to help you. But everyone else has something to help them.
Socializing them in a lot of ways. We aren't even allowing masculinity to just be okay. I even said, I was like, look, one of the reasons why no young men want to watch Democrats is because they're not very manly, like at all. And I didn't say this, but I wanted to be like, look around the room. Like, no one here is super.
No, instead of building men's program, they're dismantling and oppressing women instead. Well, yeah, obviously, because Republicans don't want to do anything good. But if the Democrats took a better approach to it and were like, hey, you know, young men are falling behind in a lot of places. There is a problem with young men being disenfranchised. Nothing's being done about it. At least a bit of lip service, at least a bit of attention paid. You could probably get a bunch of people on board. But yeah, obviously the other side has no interest in lifting anyone up. Like no one's surprised by that.
There's like one guy that was like, no, there was two guys that were like quite masculine. And like, that's it. That's like, that's all we got, folks. And one of them you're getting offended by. No, three, sorry. There was three men and two of them you're getting offended by and don't want to listen to. Like, masculinity isn't allowed in the Democratic Party, but masculinity's fine. And they were like, yeah, we really need to like find a way to capture positive masculinity. And I was like, no, what we need to do is look at masculinity as it is and be honest about the good parts and just let men have it. It's good that they're assertive and aggressive. It's bad when they're violent. It's good that they want to protect others. It's good that they are willing to put their life on the line for things that they care about. That's incredible. That's masculine. It's amazing. It's not bad. They like rough and tumble sports. That's fine. Who cares? That's just neutral shit. Just let them be like that. And so I basically said, you need to tell them that masculinity is okay. Tell them what healthy masculinity is as it emerges.
Yeah,
in
let boys climb trees, okay, guys. We don't let little boys climb trees anymore, okay? That's the problem with the Democrats. That's the problem with the Democrats, is that little boys don't have to climb up trees and fall down anymore. Well, so when I open my incel ranch, my Never Neverland incel ranch for lost boys, where no man leaves an incel, boys will be able to climb trees. Let me tell you.
You might have ideas of what you want masculinity to look like, and we can build towards that. But we're not even there yet. We haven't even just been honest about the good parts of current modern day masculinity, which there are good parts about. So yeah, I was basically like super feisty. I kept interrupting people. I kept telling them to like stop talking.
I bet you're mad annoying.
I think I frustrated like 3 people a fair bit, but by the end, I'm not joking. Like, I think I said retard like 5 times at minimum. Like, I tried to like dial it back. I didn't want to like completely lose my audience.
Wow, she said retard like 5 times, guys. Whoa, guys, she said retard like 5 times. Whoa. Whoa. She said retard in a professional social situation? Ain't no way, bruh. Ain't no way.
But it's also painted the common response to this. So you're saying women can't do positive masculine things. True. Well, I actually talked a fair bit about femininity and masculinity too. And I was like, it's fine when women do masculine things. We praise that. We don't praise when men do masculine things. Why? Like, we love when women are in sports and being like fierce. We in the liberal side say that we love like a strong woman. You guys all seem to like me, but we don't like that in a man. Like, why? Strong men are great as long as they're also moral. Like, strong women are great as long as they're also moral. So I was super nervous because I was pretty ruthless. I didn't really shield them from my language. I didn't shield them from my opinion. And I did not shield them about the like level of like shit garbage that they had done, that had occurred with how media was approached, which, to be fair, most of them are there because they agree at least with that presupposition. And I was
whenever a boy joins a sport team, everyone is like, fuck you, you sexist pig. So true.
Expecting to walk out and have like, I knew I was jiving with at least like 2 people. Okay. They're like, yeah. So I was like, they'll probably work with me.
Did we go back?
But basically every single person but 2 like I outlined to them as well. They were like men should just be themselves. And I was like, no, and you don't even want them to, because a lot of men are kind of
we went too far.
Sexist,
we went way too far.
Kind of racist. Start being like, man, I just really want to tell ugly bitches that are fucking sluts. Usually it's like, man, my girlfriend cheated on me, or
we saw this. We went too far.
It was so good as well because I've been like so blackpilled on like political staffers and like people in the work behinds and like more of like the elitist ivory tower people that I know are very involved in policy making. And the fact that so many of these people were here and willing to hear me say naughty words like retard and fuck and shit and make jokes about like diarrhea and stuff like that and masturbation, and they just like were uncomfortable and rolled with it anyways and saw value and like reached out and were like, how do we do more of this? Like, how do we help? And
okay, she has made the I said retard point like several times now.
Help left content creators be able to have money, fund programs that actually reach out to like uncomfortable and stuff like that, and masturbation, and make jokes about like diarrhea and stuff like that and masturbation, and they just like were uncomfortable and rolled with it anyways and saw value and like reached out and were like,
this bitch talking about poop in meetings.
How do we do more of this?
The fuck?
Like, how do
what? Poo poo pee pee. She's so based. Whoa. Wow. Wow. Poo poo pee pee jokes. Wow. That's how you win over young men. That's how the Dems are winning back young men. Poo poo pee pee jokes. Wow.
We help. And I said, help left content creators be able to have money, fund programs that actually reach out to young men, like TPU. Just make a democratic version of it. Somebody should do it. Fund it. Find somebody to fund it. And also get over the fact that when that group starts and they do sports together, they're going to make misogynistic jokes. It's just going to happen. You have to get over it. Yeah, that's going to happen. But are they better than they were? Are they 10% better than they were before they started the program? Then it's working. That's what improvement looks like. If you believe in rehabilitative justice, that's what improvement looks like. It's not immediate. It's better than it was yesterday, and that's what matters.
Wait, the Turning Point USA do sports events? Are there Turning Point USA like sports teams and sports events? Is that what Turning Point USA is about? I thought they just go to campuses and do like talks and do like street interview type shit and then put out content of it. They're like a media org. What is this when they do sports together? What do you, dude? She thinks it's like a therapy program. She thinks TPUSA is like a therapy program for young men. It's just like it's like the Daily Wire. They just go around to colleges and do talks and epically debate feminists and post videos of it. That aren't they clubs? They have chapters. Turning Point USA sports events. Oh, they may actually sports events. Or is this just merch? I can't tell. Hmm. Hmm. Like what is this a Turning Point event or? Yeah, they have like some weird like recreational athletics events, I guess, that show up at uni sometimes. Here's one of the pictures for it. Oh yeah, look at this. Okay.
Just make a democratic version of it. Somebody should do it. Fund it. Find somebody to fund it. And also get over the fact that when that group starts and they do sports together, they're going to make misogynistic jokes. It's just going to happen.
Oh, the right hated DEI.
Yeah, that's going to happen. But are they better than they were? Are they 10%?
Bro, look at my look at my DEI athletics instructor. Guys, look at my DEI athletics instructor. It's fucking over, bro. It's over.
Better than they were before they started the program, then it's working. That's what improvement looks like. If you believe in rehabilitative justice, that's what improvement looks like. It's not immediate. It's better than it was yesterday, and that's what matters. But that's something you
anyway, I don't think the sports events are really the part of TPUSA that's killing it. I don't know that that's the part we should be focusing on. I don't think that's the convincing part. I think the constant like talks with like Charlie Kirk at a million different university campuses and all the epic debates he does on dumb feminist students and videos he cuts from it are really the that's the TPUSA engine, really, isn't it?
Take home, okay? I'm better than I was yesterday, and that's what matters. So anyways, that was my trip. It was super amazing. I am so happy to be surprised and wrong about how they were going to receive me. I'm so blessed that they were willing to listen to me, and I'm so glad somehow, in some way, that this Destiny situation is like so utterly annihilated my like ability right now to give a fuck about like people's like offensive like sensibilities. Like, oh, I'm offended. I'm just like, God, I couldn't give a fuck. I cannot be made to give a fuck. If you're offended and you don't want to associate with me, just don't. Just don't. I'm doing my best. I'm not always right. You're always welcome to challenge me and ask me good faith questions and suggest if I'm doing something wrong, because I'm not perfect. And it's very important to surround yourself with people who will question you. In fact, great Nickism as a content creator, especially if you're a content creator with lots of self-hatred, don't question yourself. Surround yourself with people who you know will. Surround yourself with people who question you. Oh, they were talking to me and they're like, how do we get other like professionals and academics on board? Like,
very introspective person, this one. Very introspective person.
Like, they just
Don't question
maintain their
yourself
elitist
ever.
position. They're just not willing. Like a lot of them weren't even willing to come to this meeting because they heard that alt media creators were here. They just like weren't like, it's below them to talk to you guys. And my answer was pretty simple. They can get fucked. Like literally fuck them.
Like, okay. I'm doing psychoanalysis here, schizoanalysis, schizo-psychoanalysis. Saying something like that almost seems like it's like a shut up. Like, if you're Nick saying to Erudite, don't question yourself, surround yourself with people that question you. That's saying, shut up, stop bitching about how much you suck, and do what I'm telling you to do. Like, stop crying about how shit this is going and just do what I'm telling you to. That's basically how it comes off. That's how I read that.
If we like all band together, if we like keep on pushing and trying to do the right thing and like building up and supporting one another.
I'm in the waiting room. I want to debate about what you said about Erudite. Okay. Hello, Cheese?
Hello, sir.
Okay, we're not doing
I
this.
know.
We're not doing this.
What are you racist or something?
It's not, no, it's nothing about the race. It's about
Okay,
the
then
fake
why you
accent
don't
you're
want
putting
to talk
on
about
because you're
Erudite,
doing a
eh?
fake Indian accent as
I'm
a
not
joke.
doing fake accent or anything.
You are doing a fake accent. No actual Indian person online right now is saying "Sir."
I like her feet. I like everything that she said.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I like her feet.
You like her feet? Is that what you said? Okay, dude, you're leaving.
will probably be successful and they'll get along for the bandwagon, or the if you're right and the American democratic experiment is about to die, they'll be fucked just like the rest of us, so it won't really matter. And so I said they can
you might to laugh.
tell them they're fucked. Well, don't tell them that, but just like leave them behind, and if they jump on the bandwagon later because you're finding success and movement and you're like helping to actually build this like grassroots democratic thing, based and forgive them. That's all you can do, is try to reward the right behavior. If Piers Morgan, if you don't like him, but he is calling out JD Vance and Trump for their treatment of Zelensky, like and retweet that shit. And if you're like neighbors at work don't like that you retweeted Piers Morgan, they can also get fucked. Their opinion doesn't matter. They're not serious because there's something more. There's a bigger problem, according to them, according to your neighbor. They're not serious. They'll come along eventually, and forgive them when they do. At the end of the day, so yeah, this stream is entirely unrelated to Destiny. I was in DC, talking about much bigger things.
Well, it's not entirely unrelated, is it?
Recently, like,
I don't think that's possible for you.
Just like asked me a question about like the Destiny situation, and I basically said like, as far as like litigating this in like a public way, I don't know if I can be made to like give a fuck about it anymore. Like there are just like bigger fish to fry.
Wow.
Yeah, there are just bigger fish to fry. I care about certain elements of it, but the reality is like, I'm sorry, there's like more important things. There are like men killing themselves at high rates and like literally chomping at the bit to like do political violence. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just don't care. I'm over it. Well, I do care. I care a lot. And also there are more important things. Can you speak on Pierre Poilievre?
Guys, how can you care about the Destiny drama when male suicide, guys? Guys, how can you care about Destiny being like some kind of sex pest? Male suicide rates, guys, okay? Male suicide rates and political violence, okay? It's a big issue. Why are you talking about Destiny? Stop talking about Destiny.
Much into Canadian politics in a while, so. Canada could shit on America easy? No, we cannot. No, because here's one thing that Trump and the Republicans have been right about. The fact that the EU and Canada have neglected their military spending and just left it all up to America so they could enjoy their free healthcare and all that other shit, while also being like, wow, we're so much better because we have free healthcare. It's like, bitch, you're not paying for like one of the most important things that governments pay for because you know America's got it. Like, what are you talking about, Canada? The fact that Canada and the EU and whatnot weren't spending military money to like grow and expand.
Dude,
and, like,
she's so
be
dumb.
ready. Like,
so dumb. Oh my god, you're so fucking stupid. You're so fucking stupid. Don't say kind of true. You're just outing you're a complete fucking retard if you say this shit. You are so fucking stupid. The entire post-war period, America's goal was to limit the armament of other countries and monopolize defense themselves so that they had maximum influence over the world and to prevent other world wars so that they wouldn't be dragged in something again because they didn't like having fucking Pearl Harbor happen and then being dragged into a fucking world war. That's the entire post-World War World War II period, is America focusing on creating a security umbrella where they take the brunt of the burden so that other countries don't. So that America has a monopoly on this. So they are the ones that are able to make sure, so they're the ones that go and do everything. It's not a bunch of other countries having fights. That was the whole point. Saying, wow, it's so, I can't believe Canada didn't have their own military. I can't believe the EU didn't have their own military. America didn't want them to. America was signing deals with them to delay that. America offered them these things to stop that from happening. That was the point. Yes, we let that happen because it's in everyone's interest, Spinal, because Europe has a long history of arming itself to fight its neighbors. So we didn't want that anymore. So we wanted a less armed Europe so that there's less chance of conflict where America has more influence.
Protect the suicidal men. Destiny isn't important right now.
Thank you for the $5. Thank you.
have their ability to protect their own sovereignty to some degree is fucking insane. Just so it's clear. And that is something that every single democratic NATO nation should be grateful to America for, because they've been footing the bill for everyone. Like, everyone. And you might be like, yeah, but it's cost its citizens. Yeah, it has. And every other country that pretends to be better than America has reaped the benefit.
Dude, it's so dumb.
Like, Canadians were so smug.
Literally no awareness of history. She doesn't know anything.
Towards Americans make me want to fucking blast my brains out when they're like, yeah, but Canada's just like so much better. Like, we have like healthcare. And I was like, yeah, and like 3 new.
Well, Spinal, the thing is that we put our chips there because in the 20th century, people were somehow a bit more aware and were actually conscious of the fact that they have a vested interest in what happens in other places around the world because it can have horrific blowback on them. Now, I understand America decided they were going to stop teaching history in schools or something. I'm not quite sure what happened. I know you're from a low income inner city school, so obviously you wouldn't have seen fucking anything. But they've completely lost sight of the fact that things that happen in other places in the world actually have impacts at home. So the Americans were fine to be involved, and we were all aware, we were all bought in, everyone was on the same page. This benefits all of us teaming together, being stronger as a significant unit than any of us could be on our own, or as a sum of our parts, being more than some of our parts. That's a good thing. It allows us to continue expanding Western influence and making sure that Western values of freedom, democracy, individual liberty, peace are spread around the world, and we're gradually applying soft power to these nations around us to make them change, and trading with them to try and bring them on board. Now, I know Americans have completely forgotten all of that, and have stopped caring about any of that completely, because they're completely fucking retarded, a bit like careless, lead-brained degenerates. I understand that, but the idea that a Canadian like Kyla is sitting here displaying the same level of historical and political ineptitude is frankly disappointing, even though I thought she was retarded anyway.
Like 3 subs and 2 tanks. Like, what do you mean? Like, literally, I'm sorry. Canada's been coasting on easy mode.
Yeah, like I say, Spinal, the rest of the world made the absolutely horribly miscalculated decision.
That's a nice speech. Have you thanked me for your security
Thank you for the
yet?
$5, Jimberly. I thank you for the $5, not for the nuke, so that's why we're building our own. People assumed in the 20th century, Spinal, that the entire population of America weren't careless, lead-brained degenerates, and they built policy on the basis that America didn't just want to go around the world slaughtering innocent people. Now, obviously, in the modern age, we're aware that if Americans thought they could get, 5% off their taxes, they would nuke the rest of the world in an instant. So that was misguided, I'm aware. But before, we actually thought Americans were human beings. We thought they were like the same level as the rest of us. We thought they were like, they evolved with the rest of the world. We thought that happened. We were horribly mistaken.
Because we can just like lapse off of the tail of America, like entirely. And just so it's clear, I like Canada. I love my country. I think there's lots of good things. I think that there's lots of stupid things about America. Lots of stupid stuff. But for a government and a people to like, you don't understand, one of the most important roles of a government is to protect its people. That's military. Most NATO countries have been able to just like downscale that. They just like can like literally like law. Imagine you're playing a board game.
Just like zero. Dude, now board game analogies, no historical knowledge, no awareness of why it's like that. It's fucking absurd.
It's like doing engine building and stuff, except because one of the people playing the board game has decided to like prioritize large scale, one of the most important parts of building up a country, that the rest of you just like don't have to do it. Your engines are going to be so good for other stuff. And despite that, there are still huge issues with Canadian healthcare systems, right? Ask any Canadian.
Part of the issue is also that the US hasn't had a conflict where 80% of men 16 to 42 go off to war called the Portsmouth Pals, for example, and 50 to 80% of those men become dead or maimed in one day like World War I.
Thank you for the $10. Thank you, very true.
Canadian nurse, like things are not good. There's a massive housing crisis. So I'm sorry. Shut the fuck up.
Like, and the other thing is, like, after World War II, like, the whole fucking world is, like, destroyed. America are basically, like, the only fucking country that have, like, huge, large-scale industry that hasn't been bombed to fuck. So they're, like, rebuilding everything. They haven't lost all their population. They've got all the time to rebuild through the fucking 20th century. So that's what they do, and they make insane amounts of money and develop insane amounts doing it. And then we get to here, and it's like, oh, why haven't you guys built up your military? Well, we were rebuilding everything else for the last fucking 50 years. That was the whole point.
Yeah, the US definitely receives massive benefit by playing World Police. Of course. Yeah. Of course. Yes. That is how that works. Of course. And NATO benefits from all of those things. Every NATO member, we benefit from those things. That's a big deal. So yes, US benefits from that. And so does NATO. So does Canada. So does the UK. I'm sorry. That's just true.
Yeah, it's a mutually beneficial agreement.
Anyways,
yes.
Now that I've pissed off a bunch of new people.
But you have absolutely zero historical understanding to make analysis on why it's ended up this way. And it's so apparent for everything you're saying about this.
Number one, the recent...
Dude, Europe's so stupid for not having massive armies. Europe's so stupid for not having a massive army. You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
Attack where
read a book.
People have to like change their passport now and stuff. Fucked up. Fucking stupid. Mean. Straight up mean. And a bureaucratic nightmare. It is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. God, I fucking hate Trump and Vance. They're so absurd. It is absurd what's going on. Wake up. So I'm saying all this just so it's clear. I feel like the more I research all this like tariff shit, I'm just like the stupider it gets. It's just
literally like Germany rearming massively. That was the whole thing we were trying to avoid. I don't know if anyone remembers. The whole reason why it's like this is to stop stuff like that. And now we're just like, oh yeah, Germany, rearm. Yeah, let's go Germany, rearm. Yeah, Germany, get loads of fucking guns. Yeah, please don't do that thing you did all that time ago, though. Don't do that thing again, please, okay?
It just gets stupider, and it just gets dumber and dumber and more on the Vance side, especially, evil, the more I go. It's crazy, okay? So just so it's clear, just so I can end also on...
Sorry, yeah, the last two times.
Because I'm sure there's like a bunch of people who are like, she probably is also all these things. No. Doge is making it more efficient by getting rid of all the trans IDs. Yeah. Massive waste of bureaucratic money. Like, I'm sorry, Hunter Schafer having to change her passport to be M again? What a waste of everyone's fucking time, and it's mean. It's just stupid. Like, God, get over yourselves. Yeah, certain trans stuff went way too far. Also, stop being stupid. You're just in your feelings. Okay. Hey, at least the tariffs are tanking the stock market. My Trumpy hat has almost completely soured on him. But that's not good. Like, I know it's good to like sour the people, but it's like, have you seen how like cat turd?
Yeah, we watched a military slop video the other day on Japan rearming. Like, again, another one where there was a reason why Japan didn't have a fucking military.
Head squeeze broadly, head squeeze boys and girls, head squeeze.
Thank you for the $5 ad trigger. Like, there was a good few reasons why Japan wasn't meant to have like a conventional military. And it's just like we've totally forgotten them. Rape of Nanking, who cares? Pearl Harbor, who cares? Long imperialist history, who cares? Everyone should have nukes. Fuck me.
And wokeness and these other like anonymous, massive right-wing posters will like prep the people to like accept it by being like, it actually turns out that the Biden economy was built up on fake data. Really? If you believe that to be true, you would have been singing that from the rooftops like a year ago. But you just happened to drop that 2 weeks before the tariffs get released and everything crashes. Like, or they went, these crashes aren't real. They're just corrections from the fake Biden economy data. That's not true. That's a lie. That doesn't make sense.
What, Nvidia yesterday? Anyone else? Anyone else buy Nvidia
they knew that
yesterday?
There was fake economy data. They would have been talking about it during the election. Obviously. God. Okay, anyways. I'm Scottish and proud of it. I'm not British. You should be proud of any democratic country that you're a part of. I'm proud to be Canadian. If you're from the UK, you should be proud to be British. Well, I'm just kidding. If you're from France, you should be proud to be France, like French, which I know you are because you're French. So of course you are. It's just like, it's also okay for Americans to be proud to be Americans. And you can also criticize Canada, and you can criticize America, and you can criticize France. Like, you can just do all of these things. Okay. Anyways, I'm so tired. If I've said something really stupid, send it to me. I'll probably
just link the whole video back.
I say with a massive grain of salt.
You said some dumb shit here.
At the same time you are.
If
you guys want to support me and are willing to, one of the best ways you can do so, watching my content, subscribing to me, sending me to your friends that you think might like the content as well. That's like one of the best ways that you can support me, and please do that. The next
we sharing this shit in the group chat.
You can become a member.
We post NotSoErudite in the group chat.
A subscriber or a subscriber on Kick. The best payout for me would technically be Kick. The second best is going to be YouTube, and that's where you're going to get the most benefits from as well. Also, you can join my Patreon. I don't post that much on there, but I'm going to have a debate with somebody and it'll be on there. So I'll post like random content, musings, writings, experimental stuff to see if people like it. There'll be stuff on there.
Cool.
And of course, if you like my content, please subscribe to Bridges, okay? Finally, you'll notice in the description, there's my Bridges Ground News link. I'm still supported by Ground News. I still get payouts from Ground News. Recently, they're under attack from the stupidest wastoid loser ever and the worst hit piece I've ever seen in my fucking life. Being like, Ground News is bad. Ground News is awesome. They treat creators really, really well. They have an incredible affiliate. And
well, I didn't know anything about Ground News hit piece until right now. Ground News hit piece. Ground News is evil. Wait.
If you watch enough,
she's saying that she's talking shit about friendly Geordies? No way. There is no way this bitch is so egotistical. She thinks she got shit on friendly Geordies. There ain't no way. Let me hear his point. No, I'll hear him out. I trust this guy.